considering that we will have a conversation with President Trump, we will understand the details. We have always supported the position and Volodymyr Zelensky call ceasefire and not using any weapon against the energy. You are still in the sky. And also do not strike the sea, the port infrastructure, the corridor, and food security, etc. That is, we have always supported, we stood by this, these were our proposals. We will support any proposals that lead to sustainable and just peace. But for this, we need to understand what it's about, what are the details, and well, God willing, we will know all these details so that the partners have discussed with us. Because in this war, there are two sides, Russia and Ukraine. And negotiating without Ukraine, it seems to me, well, is unproductive.
Thank you. Please go ahead, Agence France Presse.
Good day. Thank you for the opportunity to ask a question. Mr. President, could you comment on the information spreading primarily on Russian social media about an alleged Ukrainian military operation in the Belgorod region?
Ukraine is fulfilling its task.
In the Kursk region, Ukrainian council?
The military is theirs.
Volodymyr Zelensky will remain there as long as we need this operation. We have strengthened in the east of our country. And as I said, in my opinion, the Kursk operation has accomplished the maximum. But after Putin says that our guys are surrounded, our guys stand there, showing that they are not surrounded, and that it is not Putin who decides where our guys should retreat. Moreover, there is an operation, someone left. It seems to someone that someone ran and someone left, and somewhere in another corner, someone entered. Volodymyr Zelensky, these are completely understandable strategic steps and goals. As long as the enemy is on our territory, we can do everything to prevent steps by Putin to capture our additional territories. And he desires and wants this. We have observed a buildup, a new concentration of troops opposite our Sumy region. Vinicius, in the Kursk region, we see what they want to do. They want to strike Sumy, Kharkiv, and Zaporizhia regions. That's what we see. We won't let them do it so easily. I believe everyone needs to push for lasting peace. If President Trump can to press on the details and not strike at energy and at sea, if that's the first step and there are no other steps yet, then let him explain the details, how we will do it. And I am sure that all our sides, at least the American and Ukrainian side, will support any steps that lead to a reduction in strikes on the three Anjitaran, both for military and for civilian infrastructure. Whatever happens, we will support such steps.
Please channel We Ukraine.
Greetings, Mr. President. Olena Chernyakova, We Are Ukraine. Regarding the conversation with Trump, you have mentioned twice that it is supposed to happen. Can you provide more specifics? What can be discussed, when it might take place, when it was planned, and what agenda do you want to discuss, and specifically about the negotiating group? We also saw in the White House statement that on post-immediate negotiations in the Middle East, does Ukraine already understand what this will be about? Will you be ready after the conversation with Trump to send their... Svetlana Fedorova, our negotiation group, which you only approved on Saturday. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Yes, thank you very much. Look, every day it is such a challenging time now. With challenges, war time, yes. And we talk with partners every day, Kolias, and we are not agreeing on anything in advance right now. Just 5 minutes before our conversation, I was talking to Scholz and I was talking to Macron. They had a meeting before their press conference. We discussed what is happening. Now we are finishing up. I have to talk to the Finnish side. That is yes. Alexander Pisharenko, and this constantly happens. I have no agreements before this regarding the conversation with President Trump. I'm just saying he had a conversation. They talked about something. We heard some details. I would like to hear more details, especially since the American side suggests a meeting for all of us, not all of us, but for the groups, to meet in the Middle East. I understand it's Saudi Arabia that's meant.
I did not see any additional details. What was voiced in American English?
Doctor, isn't it? We support all steps towards ending the war. We will support it, but in order to support something, we need to understand specifically what it is. Well, if the President Trump has time, he's a busy person. If he has time, he will call anytime. He has a phone. There's no issue. We are ready, and we'll discuss the next steps with him with pleasure.
Please, Associated Press Agency.
Thank you very much. I'm Susie Ferguson, Associated Press. Just with regard to your conversation, you mentioned you have spoken to Macron and Scholz since the call, and what was their view of it? Is there anything that you can share with regard to what they heard? Also, you mentioned I was interested to know how you interpreted the conditions that Russia reiterated again, that there should be sort of no Ukrainian mobilization. Also that basically there should be no more intelligence sharing or military aid given to Ukraine in order for this phased ceasefire, if that's what we want to call it, to turn into a 30-day ceasefire. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, first of all, and President Macron and Chancellor Scholz all want, like me, to know more details. That's normal, like you. And that's absolutely normal. It is, after all, our land, and it's our people dying, not some generalized ones, right? Although it's a pity for everyone, to be honest, right? And that's the first thing. As for the Russians' moves, look, it just takes a sensitive topic and yes, it's a very opportunistic story and raises the topic of mobilization. What's behind this? Behind mobilization, intelligence, weapons, it is the weakening of the Ukrainian army. So the issue is not mobilization. The issue is that the numerical strength of the Ukrainian army is reduced by various measures. That is, this ultimatum of his was at the beginning of the war. I believe that it hasn't changed. He changes the terms, but not the essence. Another old story regarding intelligence and weapons. He saw that the United States can take such steps, and so he raises what he understands may work. That is, it has already been done. Why not do it again? This is again a weakening of the Ukrainian army and Ritaran, intelligence. This is a weakening of the defense of our air defense system, the protection of our people. That is his entire game. All his play is to weaken us as much as possible, to decrease us as much as possible. That's it. Everything else is not raised. The main topic, the first step, ceasefire. The first step is an unconditional success factor. Unconditional. That is, it is immediately the political will of the parties to end the war without unnecessary words. No rhetoric, no intimidation. We have already seen the intimidation by the Russians. Yes, just serious people, even if they are enemies, understand. Any de-escalation starts with clear, unconditional steps. And for this, they need to be ready. I really hope that I just don't know all the details. Again, I really hope that President Trump was able to strongly, push Putin regarding the appropriate steps. Maybe.
Are they consistent? I do not know.
Please, channel 1+1.
Good evening, Mr. President. If there are sound interruptions, I apologize. Unfortunately, we see the situation And as we speak to you now, explosions are occurring in Kyiv. In your opinion, overall, a ceasefire, if it does take place, particularly an embargo on shelling energy facilities, how realistic is it to implement it quickly? Alexander, we saw yesterday the shelling of the Kharkiv region where Ponchina, unfortunately, an infrastructure energy facility was hit again. We are forced to respond in order to, let's say, defend what is ours and show Russia that they cannot, let's say, strike without no answers. In your opinion, after all, when can we see some first real steps? Are they possible without some detailed, clear plan for what we will gradually do with some timelines? And do you believe it will work really?
Rabbit, well, Putin will not allow us to do this quickly first. And it is Putin who, after our agreement with the American side about a swift ceasefire, responded with his understandable actions. So he will not allow it quickly. Alexander Borodyansky, next, he will take various steps and impose obstacles for us. Let's call them conditions, right? And President Trump and the American colleagues, they have now talked with the Russians and discussed possible Serhiy Bodnar, a ceasefire regarding energy. Some infrastructure one must know. Again, sorry for repeating this, one must know more details. The question of mechanisms and details, I think that this way, with such steps, it might move forward.
As for Putin's political will, yes, anxiety is your answer.
And another story, I just asked what the statistics with Jeddah were. Jeddah was on March 11th.
And basically, if you want to end the war and you don't want it to start again.
And Putin shows that he doesn't want it. He is afraid that Ukrainians will disrupt. But there is strict statistics from the 11th of March. If you don't want the continuation of the war, probably the numbers will be different. And the numbers are as follows. KABs, 1,342. 8 rockets, 580 Shaheds, 44 Lancets, 250 other strikes. Not on the battlefield. We are talking about everything about civilian infrastructure, above all when we talk
Volodymyr
about...
Zelensky about the Shaheds and missiles for sure. So that's the response.
Mikhailo Bahinsky, one more clarification. Actually, when talking about peace on water, it's no secret that this was one of our greatest achievements. The fact is we have provided land routes, but in recent months we see how Russia continues to shell both our ports and our ships that transport grain, effectively disrupting global food security. Man, so will you place any emphasis on this and what is needed to truly make the Black Sea safe? What can we do on our side and how can partners, for example, help us?
The corridor is operating and will continue to operate despite the strikes on it, unfortunately, which are happening. That is, it is operating, whether Russia wants it or not. The corridor will continue to operate. And in the other case, if we say calm at sea, then let's look at what now. What steps will be regarding calm from the point of view of energy, security in energy, the network, and to civilian infrastructure. If we talk about civilian infrastructure, then we need to understand what it is, because ports are an important civilian infrastructure. And if our ports are safe, in principle, the corridor is primarily about strikes on ports. That's where the main danger is. Well, first of all, it is both Dan and Odessa, and yes, our ports. So we'll see how it goes. I think that in the coming days, we will have some progress. We'll see. Again.
Thank you. Please, BBC channel.
Mr. President, good evening. Thank you again for this. Can I press you again on the question asked by James Longman? Ukraine is now willing to match the Russian offer of a ceasefire against energy infrastructure, and so will Ukraine stop attacking energy infrastructure on Russian territory? In other words, are you prepared